Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of this video. Today we are going to be looking at medical concours in Cameroon. We are going to be looking at chemistry. For those of you who are new on this channel, please don't forget to subscribe. Medical concours in Cameroon comprises 150 questions, wherein the student is required to answer 25 questions in chemistry. 2018, question 1 says, which of the following equations below is wrong? You have been given a series of equations and have to identify which of them is wrong. Now when we look at the equations, they all represent the ionization of acids in water. Now we must know something. Strong acids are going to ionize completely, while weak acids are going to ionize partially. It therefore implies that A, which is the ionization of benzoic acid, is supposed to have a reversible sign to show the reaction is reversible, given that benzoic acid is going to undergo partial ionization. Nitric acid, hydrochloric acid, and sulfuric acid are strong acids and therefore ionize completely in solution. Therefore, the wrong equation here is A. Question 2 says, what is the name of the particle which has no charge and whose name is similar to that and which mass is similar to that of an atom of hydrogen? Now, we have been given different particles and we have been asked to identify which of these particles has a mass similar to that of an atom of hydrogen and is neutral. When we look at the atom has three main subatomic particles. We have protons and neutrons found in the nucleus, and we have electrons in the electron clouds. A proton has a mass of 1 and a charge of 1. Therefore, the answer cannot be C. A neutron has a mass of 1 and a charge of 0, meaning that the neutron is neutral. And therefore, the best answer to this question is A. An electron cannot be the answer because an electron is found on the electron shells and it has a mass of 0 and a charge of -1. Reason why the best answer is A. Now we move to question 3. Question 3 says that isotopes have the same atomic mass, but for us to answer this question, the student must be able to define what isotopes are. Isotopes are atoms of the same element having the same atomic number but different mass number as a result of difference in the number of neutrons found in the nucleus of those atoms. It therefore implies that two atoms that are isotopes are always going to have different mass numbers as a result of difference in the number of neutrons. It therefore implies that from our options that we can see, the best answer here is going to be B, because B says different mass number. Now we're going to move to the next question, question 4, wherein we have been given the mass content of a certain substance in a laboratory which contains sodium, sulfur, and oxygen. Now we are required to calculate the empirical formula of this compound. Now, given background knowledge, we are supposed to create a table. We are supposed to write the elements and their different masses. We divide it by their relative atomic masses to have the number of moles. Then we divide by the smallest number of moles to have the mole ratio. Now from there, we can have the answer to be sodium thiosulfate, which is A. We move to question 5. Question 5 says, how many moles of hydroxide ions are present in 6 grams of magnesium hydroxide? Now, the first thing for us to answer this question is writing the chemical formula of magnesium hydroxide and how it is going to dissociate to give magnesium ions and hydroxide ions. From the equation, 1 mole of magnesium hydroxide is going to give 2 moles of hydroxide ions. It therefore implies that if we're supposed to undergo calculations, the first thing we're going to calculate the number of moles of magnesium hydroxide, which is going to be the mass all over the molar mass. The mass is 6 grams and the molar mass is 58. Doing this, we're going to have the number of moles. Then now the number of moles of hydroxide ions from the equation is 2 times the number of moles of magnesium hydroxide. Therefore, number of moles of magnesium hydroxide is going to be 2 times number of moles of hydroxide ion is going to be 2 times the number of moles of magnesium hydroxide, which is 2 times 6 over 58, and we have 0.2, and the answer is A. Question 6. In nitric acid, the bond between oxygen and hydrogen is, we have been asked for the bond that is found between oxygen and nitrogen in nitric acid. The first thing is that we're supposed to draw the structure or a detailed structure of nitric acid so as to see the kind of bond that oxygen has with hydrogen. And from the diagram that we can see, The bond between oxygen and hydrogen is a simple covalent bond, and the answer is B. Question 7 says, which of these molecules is trigonal planar? Now, for a molecule to be trigonal planar, the first thing that you must know is that a molecule that is trigonal planar has 3 bond pairs and no lone pair to the central atom. From the structures above, if you want to draw the structure of each, carbon dioxide has a linear shape because it has 2 bond pairs. Ammonia has a trigonal pyramidal shape, given that it has 3 bond pairs and 1 lone pair. The carbonate ion has 3 oxygens bonded to it with no lone pair, and the answer is going to be C. D is the ammonium ion, wherein nitrogen is bonded to 4 hydrogen atoms, 3 hydrogen atoms covalently and 1 hydrogen dicovalently, giving us an answer of C. Question 8 says, Van der Waals forces are induced forces which act as a result of the movement of, and the correct answer is electrons. Van der Waals forces are highly influenced by electrons, and the reason why most of the times the strength of Van der Waals forces increases with increase in atomic number as a result of increase in the number of electrons in that atom. So Van der Waals forces are weak force of attraction holding molecules together and are induced as a result of electron movement. So the answer is C. We move to the next question, question 9, which says, a student used 50 cm³ of ethanol in a gas bottle to heat 100 cm³ of water. In this experiment, the student is given the background knowledge. An experiment on this in thermochemistry is experimental setup to determine the enthalpy of combustion of ethanol, and the answer is B. Question 10 says, considering the equation of complete combustion between liquid butane, I have that the entropy of the system increases as dash increases. Now, from the factors that have been given to us, we have to know that entropy is the degree of disorder in a system, or the degree of disorderliness of a system. It therefore implies that entropy is going to increase if the disorder in the system increases, and the disorder in the system can only increase if the number of particles increase, because there are going to be more frequent collisions and leading to more disorder in the system. And as a result of this, the answer is going to be C, the number of particles increases. Question 11 says, what volume of 65 cm³ of a gas occupy if it is collected at 40 degrees Celsius and 75 millimeters of mercury at STP? Now, for us to calculate this, we must be able to identify or to use the combined gas law, which is that of Charles and Boyle's. Boyle's law states that the volume of a given mass of gas is inversely proportional to the pressure at constant temperature, while Charles's law states that the volume of a given mass of gas is directly proportional to its absolute temperature, provided that the pressure is constant. So in the combined gas equation, we are going to have that, and we are going to substitute our values, and we are going to have that answer. So the correct answer is not really there, so the best answer in this case is going to be D. Question 12 says, according to Avogadro's law, the volume of a gas at constant pressure and temperature is directly proportional to the number of. Avogadro's law states that equal volumes of all gases under the same conditions of temperature and pressure will contain the same number of molecules. Therefore, implies that the answer is going to be C from Avogadro's law. Question 13 says, how can the enthalpy of the system be increased? We'll be given a reaction whereby we have dinitrogen tetraoxide decomposing to give nitrogen dioxide, and the enthalpy is positive at constant temperature. Now we have been asked for the factor that is going to cause an increase in the enthalpy of this system. The forward reaction, as we can see, is endothermic, and as a result, an increase in temperature is going to favor the forward reaction. But since the temperatures are kept constant, an increase or a decrease in temperature is not going to affect the equilibrium above. Now we have to look at the pressure. When we look at the pressure, the number of moles of gas on the left hand side is 1, the number of moles of gas on the right hand side is 2. From the Chatelier's principle, which states that if an external stress, example, an increase in pressure or a decrease in pressure, is applied on a reversible system at equilibrium position will shift in a direction that tries to annul or cancel the effect. From this, we can see that the left hand side has 1 mole of gas and the right hand side has 2 moles of gas. It therefore implies that number of moles of gas on the left hand side is less than number of gas on the right hand side, and as a result a decrease in pressure is going to affect it, because it's going to lead to a shift of the equilibrium position to a direction that tries to increase the pressure, which is to the right, therefore increasing the enthalpy of the system. Question 14. A student wants to know if the following reaction can take place. So we can see that one is a redox reaction whereby we have copper being reduced and silver being oxidized. For the reaction to take place, the EMF must be positive. Therefore, for a reaction or a redox reaction to take place, there is a certain threshold EMF that must be attained. It therefore implies that the EMF being increased is not necessarily meaning that the EMF is going to be positive. Therefore, for the reaction to take place, the EMF must be positive, and the answer is B. Question 15 says, a substance which easily gives out its proton and has tendency to be ionized in aqueous medium is called. An acid is a substance which is going to give off a proton and is going to be ionized. But an acid could either be strong or weak. A weak acid is going to ionize partially, while a strong acid is going to ionize completely. A strong acid can easily give off its proton in solution, and therefore the best answer here is going to be B, which is a strong acid. Now move to question 16, which says a reaction in which the enthalpy of product greater than the enthalpy of reactant is an endothermic reaction. Is a reaction whereby heat is absorbed from the surrounding. If it is absorbed from the surrounding, it therefore implies that the product will get the higher energy than the reactant, and therefore the enthalpy of that reaction is going to be greater than 0. And therefore, a reaction where the enthalpy of products is higher than that of the reactant is an endothermic reaction, and the answer is A. Question 17 says, select from the following propositions the electronic configuration of an element which can form an acidic oxide. Now from the above, you can see that 3s2 3p4 is the outermost shell electronic configuration of sulfur, which is going to form 2 stable acidic oxides, sulfur dioxide and sulfur trioxide, and therefore meaning that the answer is going to be E, because E is going to form acidic oxides. Now 3s2 3p2 is the outermost electronic configuration of silicon, which can also form silicon monoxide and silicon dioxide. But silicon monoxide is neutral, while silicon dioxide is acidic. So the best answer in this case is going to be E. Question 18 says, in a reaction of hydrogen iodide with concentrated sulfuric acid, the acid is acting as. Now it will be very important for us to know that from the equation that has been given, we are going to write our equation. Sulfuric acid plus hydrogen iodide is going to give hydrogen sulfide plus iodine plus water. We can see that sulfuric acid has been reduced, while hydrogen iodide or iodine, the iodine ion has been oxidized to iodine. An oxidizing agent undergoes reduction by causing the oxidation of another species. So we can see that the oxidation state of iodine on the left hand side is -1, while on the right hand side it is 0. Therefore, sulfuric acid is acting as an oxidizing agent, reason why the answer is A. Question 19 says a ligand is. We have to choose from the answers what a ligand is. From transition metal chemistry, a ligand is a neutral molecule or an anion having at least one atom with a load of electrons capable of forming a dative covalent bond with the central metal atom. And as a result, the answer is going to be D. A ligand could be an anion or a neutral molecule. Question 20 says, among the following uses of ammonia, which is not correct? We have been given many uses and we have to identify which of them is not correct. Ammonia can be used in all of the above, except in the production of match and gunpowder, which are instead the uses of sulfur, and as a result the best answer is going to be C. Question 21 says, fractional crystallization is used to separate two soluble solid substances in. Now, for us to be able to undergo fractional crystallization, the substances to be separated must be in the same solvent. Therefore, fractional crystallization or distillation is the separation technique employed in the separation of mainly liquids that have almost same boiling point in the fractionating column, and the best answer is C. Question 22. An addition reaction is one in which two or more compounds combine to produce. The best answer here, an addition reaction takes place mainly in unsaturated systems, leading to the formation of a single product with more saturation. And in this case, the answer is going to be B. Question 23 says, monohydric alcohols are simply alcohols that contain one hydroxyl group. It therefore implies that the answer is going to be A. Question 24. A condensation reaction is a reaction in which two substances undergo an addition reaction followed by the elimination of. A condensation reaction is a reaction whereby two smaller molecules combine to give a larger molecule with the release of a smaller molecule like water, ammonia, and hydrogen sulfide. So it therefore means that the best answer in this case is going to be A. And the question 25 says, decarboxylation is the loss of dash from a carboxylic acid. So decarboxylation is the removal of carbon dioxide from organic acid. It therefore implies that the best answer is going to be C.